Today we're going to fire up the furnace of the liver. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And as we go into our digestion here, we're going to talk about the liver. It is an accessory organ. It hangs off of the tube, right? So we have our digestive tube. That's our primary focus for the month. But we can't ignore the liver. It's huge. Not only is it literally big, but it does so many wonderful things for the body. And just to go over a few of those, we're going to go over a little bit about what the liver does, but then I'm going to focus on one thing about getting the liver activated, getting in touch with that part, and I think of it as firing up the furnace. So let's talk about this. And if you do this with me, you'll probably end up, feeling warm. So it literally will warm the body up as the liver starts doing its thing. Okay, so while the liver does a lot of things, let's go over a few of those. It helps us to break down fat. So it's the bile, it produces bile emulsifies the fat, and that is one of the major signals we have from a digestion perspective. But it does so many other things that also is tied right into digestion, but then the whole way the body functions, and that is that it breaks down all of our hormones and clears the blood out, and so all those signals that the body is giving constantly, it breaks those down and keeps them fresh, right? We don't want yesterday's signals. We definitely don't want breakfast signals for lunch, right? I mean, that's a whole completely different set of tools that we need to bring to bear because we're eating different things. Our body has already moved on and changed. We need to keep up with those changes, and that's where the liver does, it clears that stuff out. The other thing the liver does is it stores sugar for us in the form of glycogen. Really important for our digestion, our eating habits, so that if we're really in touch with that, we can lean on our liver to give us a little bit of energy if even though we're not eating. In other words, we're fasting or something, or if we say, okay, I'm not going to eat that yet, or I don't want to eat yet, then you've got some stores in the liver, and you can bring that out. If your liver doesn't already do that, it probably will do that automatically on its own. But it's good to know when you've run out of resources in your liver. So it stores glycogen and glucose in the form of glycogen. It stores other nutrients in there. A lot of the fat-soluble vitamins are stored in the liver for for when they're needed. And then it will also process out all the toxins out of the bloodstream. So including, it'll break down and process out your red blood cells. So that's the hemoglobin. The red part makes the poop brown. That's what basically a lot of what makes poop brown is the blood that we're cycling out. So we do need to take in new iron. We don't recycle all the iron. Some of it ends up, going out through the bowel. But and so that's part of what the liver does as well, is it filters out. So it has a lot of filtering capability in the bloodstream, and so I really want to focus on its ability to the liver's ability to burn out, if you will, to take out those toxins and detoxify the bloodstream. And so I think of it as firing up the furnace of the liver. So as I breathe in and I pay attention to the liver, I'm going to use this imagery of a furnace or a hot, really getting the liver heated up and get the liver to do its job of processing and burning out any of this grunge. And obviously, the cleaner it burns something, less smoke, less soot. I don't want any of that smoke and soot and that kind of thing. It's actually probably a whole conversation we need to have about food and which foods are more sooty foods. Animal products in general will have a lot more smoke, a lot more soot as they start to burn, because we do burn our food inside a chemical basis, but we do chemically burn our food up. And food that has a lot of residue behind it is called really sooty food. And so that's part of the liver has to deal with all of that. The digestive tube has to deal with this extra soot, this extra junk that comes along with our food. If we have clean burning food like rice and cabbage, for example, and bean sprouts, have very clean burning food. A lot of times you think of Asian food or Chinese food as being very clean burning and that's what makes you hungry quickly, because it just burns real quickly and it doesn't have a lot left over. Okay, anyway, digress. But so the liver, very important as a center part of all that, and involved in burning that, processing and burning the food, the junk, and any of the toxins that are in the bloodstream. Yesterday's hormones, even last minute's hormones, all those things need to be processed quickly. So just to remind you of where your liver is, okay, it's the big brown blob right here underneath the right rib cage. And again, it's an accessory organ to the tube, right? The tube goes down the middle. The stomach is part of the tube. It goes into the small intestine, duodenum, goes through this whole small intestine, comes out the large intestine, and then goes out and then down out in the rectum. So where does the liver come in? Well, the liver hangs off of that tube and squirts its juices into the duodenum through the gallbladder, the common bile duct, and then it joins the pancreas with that same process and so we'll be doing a little bit more about the pancreas. So anyway, that's where it is. It's down here. So if you were to reach and just put your hands on the right, but I want you to recognize that it doesn't just sit on the right, it actually does cross the midline, and so you do get some liver up underneath the heart on the left. And so that's why a gallbladder attack or a liver attack can sometimes mimic a heart attack and have the same pains up the left and even create the numbness and it's very scary, but it's really a gallbladder attack and most of the time not something to panic about in terms of having a heart attack. It could be a gallbladder attack. One of the quick things you could try is take some tablespoon of Epsom salts in water. It dilates the bile duct. So if you do have a gallbladder attack, you can dilate the bile duct with Epsom salts, and if that calms things down, then you know it's not, it's probably not a heart attack. So anyway, okay, so there's your, we're gonna breathe into our liver and activate the liver, fire up the furnace, okay? So if you've ever had a furnace or done any kind of campfire or anything, you know, you've got the, you know, little embers and, you know, and you blow on them a little bit until you start, and then you get this nice roaring fire. So I really want to get this roaring fire going on in the liver in a very controlled and appropriate way. But it's definitely something I want to feel activated. I really want to get the liver doing its thing. And so I'm going to spend a few breaths and a few moments here to really activate the liver, to help it do its job, to clear out the grunge, the smoke, the soot of the stuff that we've been eating, clean out the bloodstream that cycles through the liver, and make sure that it's all good and clean. And then that extra smoke and soot that's left behind here, if I can get this burning clean to the point where I really feel like it just, you know, there's no waste product. There's going to be some ash, there's some waste product, and I'm going to send that down through the tube, okay? I don't want that to hang around in the bloodstream. I definitely don't want it to hang out in the liver. So I want to make sure that comes out and processes it into the bowel, and so that we send it on down, okay? So taking a moment to breathe into the liver. And there's multiple lobes of the liver, and you know we can get into details of that if you'd like, but really just I'm thinking of just this whole area. Put my hand underneath the rib cage here on the right. Start in the middle and just move down the ribs. That's the whole, all of that's going to be liver, all of it. And so breathe in just to say hi, that listening breath. And then start to feel the heat, okay? I'm actually going to invite breathing in to feel the heat and feel the furnace. Start to breathe that like billows. Every time I breathe in, I want to stoke it up, right? And get the fire going inside the liver, get it really processing. And I don't know where you're at right now, but it starts to heat up. Literally, you can start to sweat doing this. And just allowing the liver to stoke up. Now I really want to, don't hold back. I really want to get this roaring, okay? This just really hot furnace. And I don't know if you've ever seen inside of a kiln, you know, you just that white hot, red hot, blue hot, you know, you get all kinds of different color. And just keep stoking that fire, get that furnace going. Now, as the food comes through, it's going to clean out that extra, any grunge in the bloodstream. and just nice and clean, just quickly, just burning through, right? I'm gonna hold that for a few minutes. And allowing allowing that just do its processing. And then any soot or smoke, I want to breathe out through the bowel. Okay, and so not necessarily. I mean, if you're getting uncomfortable with it, or if you feel pain or discomfort or something, of course you can back off. But doing this a little bit each day to fire up the furnace, and simple couple breaths. It doesn't have to be huge. Doesn't have to be a lot of time, but a really good way to get that cleansing going, to really clean things out, and to get the liver the support it needs with your breath, your intention, your oxygen, and honoring what the liver does. Thank you, liver. Love your liver. Thank your liver. So thank you, liver, for doing what you do. I know that you're busy, you got a lot of stuff, so we want to just acknowledge that, be conscious of it, and encourage that process of the liver being, as a detoxer, as a cleanser. Okay, like I said, there's lots of other things that the liver does. We'll get a little bit more into that in a different way later on, but I just wanted to share with you this idea of firing up the furnace. So there's our liver furnace. Again, working with the heat, breathing in the heat, but then you can always calm it down and cool it down at some point, but just a couple breaths, doesn't take a lot, but just to work that warmth. I like to go hot. I mean, I really want to get that furnace, blowing hot and getting all that junk burned out of there, and just feel the cleanness and how much things are moving. Once you do that, you get kind of good at this, you start to feel like it's a really boost to your metabolism. So if you're trying to lose weight, trying to get your metabolism going, you drink that morning water, you fire up the furnace, get the liver going and doing its thing, and you'll find that really starts things going. Of course, you've got the thyroid that's going to be a part of that whole package too, but that the liver is so important to keep that liver going, have it be open and clear and blown out, and making sure that everything's moving through the liver the way it should. Okay? So there you go, a little bit about the furnace of the liver. Happy wellness. We'll see you tomorrow.